very nice that you two have both entered the transfer portal today. Crowder wearing a Buccaneers hat, and you're wearing a Tampa hat. Screw the Dolphins. You guys are Buccaneers fans, right?
As I said earlier in the show, this is where my son goes to school. He's a Tampa Spartan. He goes to University of Tampa. And Crowder's dad played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Crowder grew up in Tampa. So there's some definite
Tampa has the Bucs, the greatest football team, right?
I'll tell you what, I take Baker Mayfield over just about any quarterback in the league right now. I love that guy.
You know what's funny? If I would have asked you in the summer, would you take Baker Mayfield over Tua Tagovailoa? Hawk could be like, absolutely not.
I've been a Baker guy for a couple of seasons. I would have thought about it, and I would have taken Tua. But now I would take Baker over Josh Allen, Drake Maye, and Patrick Mahomes.
Goodness gracious.
But to answer your original question or your statement, yeah, that was glorious. You know, I know people don't feel bad for me, right? I've seen 6 championships. My team was bad for about 4 or 5 years. The last 2-3 years, though, I've been rooting for this team to just lose because I wanted the best draft pick possible to kind of reset the roster. I love the hire of Mike Vrabel. I wanted him to be the coach once they got rid of Belichick and they ended up promising the job to Gerard Mayo. But you watched the game last night, and you watched it last year. You saw signs of Drake Maye with nothing around him, turning garbage into gold. They still don't have elite weapons really on the offensive side of the ball. Will Campbell could be elite, but we're talking about skill position players. And for them to walk into Buffalo, that's the first time in a while where I actually said to myself, oh, I actually want them to win a game, and they did so once again. So, yeah, it's been about 4 or 5 years, but I'm not saying we're back yet, but we're moving in the right direction as you guys still don't have a quarterback since Dan Marino walked out of the door.
And Gelb, like Hawk said, we haven't won in Buffalo. We haven't beat Josh Allen in Buffalo yet in, years, 5, 6 years or Tua. But the narrative that the Patriots have now surpassed the Dolphins, and Hawk brought up a great point. We had the 23 season where you thought the Dolphins were turning it around when we were number 1 in offense and all that. After a 3-2 start, has Vrabel and May passed McDaniel and Tua?
It was my expectation before the start of the season. Now you got to do it, and they still got to finish the job as just as easily they won that game up against the Bills. They had a crappy second half up against the Raiders. They fumbled away a game up against the Steelers where they should have beat the Steelers. I look at the schedule. I thought going into the season, I said to myself, this team will be the second best team in the AFC East. Don't believe in Aaron Glenn and the Jets. They stink. And I thought this was going to be a disaster with the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa. So, yes, if the Patriots, it's not that they have to make the playoffs this year. You look at their schedule, I can give you 10 wins total on that schedule with the 3 that they already have. But the Patriots, bare minimum, should, and I think will, as long as Drake Maye is healthy, be the second best team in this division.
Hey, what can Drake Maye be? Because we were on with Ben Volen before the season started, and I think somebody asked him that question. He said, look, the reality is he hasn't won a primetime game yet.
Yeah.
And I think he had only won one
Volen was negative, though?
Started.
Volen was negative?
No. I mean,
because that makes me feel great. If Volen was negative, I think we got the best quarterback in the league then.
Volen's been saying Mac Jones is better than Tua. Then he said Drake Maye was better than Tua last year. But
Mac
I just
Jones,
wonder
by
what
the way, has looked better than Tua this season.
Ben Volen's right. What can he be in your eyes? I know it's too early, but I remember watching Josh Allen, his first playoff game.
Sure.
I'm like, bro, this guy's going to be a bum. Like, fine, he'll be a starter, but he's going to be a bum. And then he turned into what we've seen now. Do you expect him to be on that level or maybe a little bit less, like tier 2? What do you expect?
So when they drafted him, I said they had to take a quarterback. I wasn't the biggest fan of his in college in terms of me thinking he was going to be great or elite. I just thought he would be good, and he had to show me that he could be great. He could show me he could be elite. What he did last year, it doesn't get talked about because they won no game. That line is one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen. And they didn't have any wide receivers. And they really still don't have that much around him. So he showed me a lot last year, even though statistically it wasn't great. Like the other night, he didn't throw a touchdown pass, but he just played really well. What he could be, and I thought about this last year, if there was a threesome, Crowder's now ears are all perked up, between Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, and Matthew Stafford, I think the offspring is Drake Maye. Like, I see a little of Herbert, I see a little of Stafford, and I see a little of Josh Allen. So I think he could be a very good quarterback in this league.
Reminds me of like pay-per-view roulette that you used to have to play at the hotel.
Brought to you by Tootsie's.
Yeah, you used to have to be just based off the title. You were going to guess what you were buying on Spectravision, and you ended up with that terrible reason. You're like, wait a second. Guy drew me in with hey, I'm going to mention a threesome here, and all of a sudden it's a guy named Herbert.
Let me tell you, if that threesome happened in Miami these days, you'd be putting that baby in the Fontainebleau at Joe's Stone Crabs, Prime 112. You guys would be loving that person.
A spin on narrative. Goodness gracious.
So the Dolphins, though, on Sunday, Gelby, they had this collapse to the Carolina Panthers. So what do you do with the team? Can Mike McDaniel, I was saying to Crowder and Solana early in the show, like, let's say they beat the Chargers this Sunday. Chargers are a pretty good team. Let's say they beat the Chargers. Do you have any thought that, yeah, you're going to have some ups and downs during a season. The Carolina game was a down, but maybe with the talent they have, maybe they can overcome? Or is this just an abject failure from top to bottom, in your opinion?
Could 1 or 2 weeks you look good with the talent that you have? Sure. Like, hey, anything could happen. The Patriots beat the Bengals last year to open up the season. The Giants 2 weeks ago beat the Chargers. Then they lose to the Saints. So could you look solid for 1 or 2 weeks? Sure. But this team's a disaster. Mike McDaniel's got – how many times I have to get on this show and say Mike McDaniel's got to go, Chris Greer's got to go, and Tua is an overpaid quarterback that unfortunately his body's too damaged, and I think his confidence is too damaged. I just don't believe in him. That trifecta is not working. I would hope at the end of the year McDaniel's out, Greer's out. McDaniel, I think, will definitely be gone. With Stephen Ross, who the heck knows, with Chris Greer. But I think the lone survivor after this year, if I had to put money on it, would be Tua, and then the clock really starts to even tick even quicker on him when you can maybe get out of that contract to move off of him.
And I'm with you. I don't think McDaniel makes it to next season. For sure, I don't think he makes it through the season if it keeps going the way it's going. Is it the leader of men? Is it the goofiness? Is it the play calling? Is it like when you say, you've been saying it for a long time, Gil, like why have you seen that McDaniel's not the guy to lead this team?
You know who he reminds me of a little bit? Chip Kelly. When Chip Kelly was in Philadelphia, he had some good starts and then some horrible finishes. Like McDaniel has. It's weird for me to say because I've been so critical of him. If you look at his record, it's not as if he's been this disaster, one of the worst coaching hires of all time, but he was supposed to take Tua to that next level. And I think what really did him in, because he did stabilize Tua after the whole disaster with Brian Flores, was the year they went to the playoffs with Skylar Thompson. All right, it looked fine. But it was last year without Tua, he looked lost. And I think a lot of people then started to realize, well, look at what guys like O'Connell and Shanahan do when backup quarterbacks get in. He just didn't have that gear in him. And I ultimately just think he is a doormat. Like, he's a player's coach. And there's a difference between a player's coach and a doormat. And I just don't think there's control in that locker room. And the players, they kind of look at him like the class clown and they just walk all over him. He seems like a nice guy. You know what? He's going to be a really good offensive coordinator for the next 2 to 3 years, probably somewhere. But I just don't think he's head coaching material.
What about Tua? Because Sam Darnold is the example. Baker Mayfield is probably the best example. We could talk about Geno Smith. There's a lot of guys in the NFL who it just didn't work wherever it is that they were drafted, no matter what that organization tried to do. And then a couple of years later, change of scenery, change of scheme, change of roster, change of talent around them, change of head coach. It just worked elsewhere. Jared Goff, I guess, could be another example, even though he went to a Super Bowl. You can't see that for Tua going somewhere else. Better offensive line, better running game. He just has to be a game manager, and then he could take a team deep. You don't see that?
No, because the body is damaged, and I think there are some, mentally there's some confidence issues right now, just with the way that he's handled things this season and, the way that he's speaking at the podium as well and how he's kind of been on the attack. I think the outside noise is finally getting to him this year. I used to be a big fan of Tua. I thought Tua was going to be the real deal when he was at Alabama, and he suffered a bunch of injuries there. We've seen some flashes of it, but you just don't see it through the course of 17 games in a regular season, whether it's from his own inconsistencies or just his inability to stay on the field. So you look at a guy like Sam Darnold, his confidence was damaged, but Sam Darnold never had, when he was with the Jets, Tyreek Hill, I know he's out right now, or Jalen Waddle. So when he went to a different environment and he, failed in Carolina, but then when he gets to Minnesota, look at the weapons that they have. Tua's already had a coach that we thought is a good offensive mind. I know he's never really had the line, but he's had, running backs. Raheem Mostert had that one big year. Devon Achane has been solid. He's had the 2 wide receivers. He's had the talent or enough talent to be the guy. And that's why I think ultimately I just don't have a lot of hope, because there's a lot of damage up here. There's a lot of damage all throughout the body, and he's had a lot of talent around him.
Do you feel the same way about John Harbaugh that you do about Mike McDaniel, talking about a guy who loses the starting quarterback and then all of a sudden looks like he doesn't know what's going on out there?
It would not be crazy to me. I think for 2 guys, I know no one's going to say it about Tomlin right now because they only have 1 loss in the season. But Steelers fans and Ravens fans, some of them will be like, oh, you can't get rid of Tomlin and Harbaugh. Eventually, the Eagles got rid of Andy Reid. And I know Tomlin and Harbaugh had a Super Bowl. Andy Reid didn't. The Eagles have won 2 Super Bowls since getting rid of Andy Reid. And Andy Reid has gone on to have a great coaching career, where he's actually won Super Bowls compared to just getting them there or getting to the NFC Championship game. So every relationship has an expiration date. You're not going to hear it on Tomlin right now. Now they go lose wild card weekend again. It's like, okay, what the heck are we really doing? Because they haven't won a playoff game since 2016. But you look at Harbaugh, he's someone that's been through 2 quarterbacks. He's won a Super Bowl. But on this back end with Lamar Jackson right now, they are a bad big game team. Whether it's Derrick Henry fumbling, Lamar having some issues in the postseason. You brought in Monken. That didn't work 2 years ago when you had the number 1 seed. And Mahomes told me after the game, I just had to be a game manager because of how great our defense was playing. So I don't think they'll move off of Harbaugh, the Ravens. But if they did at the end of the season, I can't really crush them for doing it.
Gelb, on the way out, is Joe Flacco going to save Cincinnati's season?
So I did the Lions-Bengals game for Compass, and I was talking with Brian Baldinger last week, and I said, they got to get somebody else in. This was before the game, and then Browning throws 3 interceptions. I was surprised it was Flacco, not only because he was coming from the Browns in division, but that line is garbage. So, yes, Joe Flacco can get the ball to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but he may be in the nursing home coming up in 2 weeks because this offensive line is not just bad, it's putrid. That's why I thought they would go for a quarterback that at least has some more mobility, like a Jameis Winston or even a Russell Wilson.
Even the slightest modicum of being able to move
out
of the pocket.
Just don't be a
but Joe
statue.
Flacco.
Just don't be like Hawk in the beginning of the segment where he looked like he was just sitting still. Like that, Flacco.
That was Joe Flacco behind the Bengals line.
Yeah. And by the way, can I ask you guys a question? This is why I'm a great national guest for this local show.
All right.
Why were the Panthers playing so early yesterday to open up? What was that, 5 p.m. that puck drop?
That's your guy, Gary Bettman. Yeah, take it up with Bettman. It was total disrespect. Total disrespect. You have a triple header, and you're going to have the banner raising as the early game? Get out of here with that nonsense.
Back-to-back champs.
You're not telling us anything we don't know. That was a massive disrespect.
It's your fault.
So it doesn't matter.
It's your fault. It's your fault. You and the rest of the national people up in New York, up in Boston, despite having the back-to-back champs are down here, and all you guys want to do is talk about the Rangers who got crushed yesterday and their 50th anniversary. Spend more time talking about the Panthers. Spend more time talking about the Panthers.
100-year anniversary.
Well, I only go back 50 years. Everything before that.
Yeah. He looks at the most recent tweet he saw and reads it.
He's waiting for Paulo Benchuro to get on the court.
Well, I wrote though. It's funny to hear that. Oh, why are the Panthers getting disrespected? Because you guys don't talk about them. That's why they're getting disrespected.
I just brought him up, you dope. I'm the one that brought him up. Did you guys stay for the game, or did you just do the Hockman photo dump? Get the photo out there. And then
Hockman and Appel stayed for the game and bought our tickets.
Yeah,
bought our tickets.
I had an open house. I had to go talk to my kids' teachers.
Yeah, it was very nice that you weren't in a wheelchair this time around, Crowder, at the stadium.
I wrote down on the media elevator after our broadcast because I said a little bit of time to kill with Bob Wischusen.
Oh,
yeah, that's your guy.
Great play-by-play voice for hockey. Should be the number 1 and do the Stanley Cup final. He's phenomenal.
Zach Gelb from Infinity Sports Network, WFAN Studios. Thank you, Gelby.
You got it. I'm here in New York, Solana. New York.
The Hard Rock Bet Party is on. You're on the guest list.